Hi, welcome to Out There Live TV, live documentaries, or live stories, depending on how we wish to word these things. And you are joining me in episode 2 as we cover the amazing life story of Sian Faire.
Lovely to see you again.
There was a pause there, but here's the thing. We're in episode 2 of your life story, which the title of this series is called Academically Pointless. Academically Pointless. We're going to go into this life chapter, which I have named Academically Lonely. So you're now in secondary school. And so let's talk about the transition, okay? So I'm just going to run through some notes here, which is your academic recognition in primary got you in a place at the all-girls school. But your academic achievements from your primary have now put you in what is a pretty lonely place. And what I mean by this is that throughout your secondary school, you found learning, of course, very easy. While good, learning very easy, it kind of made you a target and become unpopular. And of course, you become a victim of bullying. And you found solace in filling really your lunch breaks and activities with activities due to having basically no friends at school. Now, following on from episode 1, where we talked about the ecosystem you lived in at home with mom and dad that was very controlled, emotionally, you were matching their needs always, never your freedom to think, freedom to be. Now, of course, this is starting to show through with how difficult it is for you to socially mix. And again, you were diving into the achievements of life again. The more you achieve, the more you're assuming you're going to be loved. Let's talk about this. You know, why was there no friends for you in school as such?
I just didn't feel like I fitted in with any group. I think girls are particularly picky and different and difficult to get in, once they make friends, it's very hard to break into a group. But the other thing was that in primary school, I probably found it easier to get on with boys. Okay. So then going to an all-girls school was quite hard because I wasn't very girly.
Did you feel that when going into the all-girls school that effectively you didn't have previously in your life the preparation to, one, have that social outness, have that, have those life skills, where you had your own confidence to make your own decisions, to meet people you wanted to meet, and to do what you wanted to do?
I think the big thing was that I'd gone from being at the top to all of a sudden I was having to find like a pecking order again.
At the top of what though? Let's think about this. At the top of, let's bear in mind that, at this age, you're already created a measure of achievement. And what I mean by that is, you said there, I was at the top. Why was the top so important? For who?
Well, I suppose, for my parents, because my mum had been a primary school teacher prior to giving up, and my dad was a lecturer in statistics and he had a PhD. So they were very academically focused. Mm-hmm. And we took the 11 plus. So final year in primary school, we took the 11 plus, which then decided what school you went to. And I was always going to go to the school around the corner, which was Southend High School for Girls, which you had to pass your 11 plus to go to. But there was...
Can I jump in there? You were always going to go to the school.
And there was never any question that was where I was going to go. That was never in doubt.
What does that feel like now? Let's jump now to this moment of how come it was never in doubt? So you weren't even part of that decision.
I wasn't aware of being a part of that decision. I say, like there were two schools round the corner to us. One was originally called a secondary modern, so it was for people that didn't pass the 11 plus, and there was never any. I was never going there. I was always going to Southend High School for Girls, and I've never questioned it. I've never really thought about it. It was always where I was going. It was always what I was doing, and so it was just like all mapped out for me.
But let's come back to there were no friends.
Yeah, or very few friends, or very few real friends. Yeah.
Did you find that when you did have a friend, you hang on and hang on and hang on? Did you find solace in your own space?
Quite interesting, actually. So I tended to fill up my time with things which meant I didn't need to have friends. So I did activities every lunchtime. And I actually found a piece of paper when I was sorting out some stuff from my parents' house, which was a permission slip that allowed me to stay in the lunch times. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'd forgotten that. You know, it was only when I saw the piece of paper that I was like, oh my God, I was really extreme. You know, I got a permission slip that I didn't have to go out. I could stay in. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow. So those times where you would mix with your mates outside of what have to be classroom thinking, you had a note to actually avoid that.
Yes.
Now
but it was like, from my point of view, I obviously wasn't aware that I was avoiding. I was actually like, you know, I was practicing the piano, practicing the clarinet, practicing the recorder, singing. I was maybe studying.
Did you find it a relief, Sian, that you didn't have to be around people to make friends when you had that note to actually isolate you from the freedom of being around other girls? It was just what I did. Everything was planned out, like outside of school.
Mm-hmm. So it was just planned, like instead of having an hour and 15 minutes of, like you say, doing what I wanted, it was much easier to only have to eat. And I did hockey in the winter. You know, I went out to the hockey practices. In the summer, I did the athletics.
Yeah.
You know, I always did things which kept everything very like planned and organised and regimented.
Yeah, yeah.
So the only bit of freedom where I had to like sit with somebody or find somewhere to sit would be when I was having my lunch.
And how was that? How was that food hall, when you walk into that food hall and you know, wow, there are bodies here, girls here that I have to now find someone to sit with? Or did you have a routine there also?
I didn't have a particular routine except to try and find, you know, like obviously just try and find somewhere to sit. But nobody, you know, like I wouldn't really be aware of like people saving me a space.
Yeah.
You know, as an example that, you know, like.
You never had that?
No. I probably did end up sitting with other people that were other girls that were in similar situations to with me.
I see. Okay.
So one of the friends that I'm still in contact with now, we both were in the same situation of not really fitting in.
And it's strange because we don't look for those commonalities in our young part of our life. Let me shift into this because I want to go into the next life chapter here, which was, and I've named this one, my mom was my unwanted best friend. I loved our time. Now, here it is that every Saturday you would go on shopping trips with your mom, and this was non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. You know, this isolated, and this we pulled this through the research here, that this isolated your social skills in making friends organically as a child. So we are bringing, which is your academically lonely life chapter, into this one here, which was, you know, this looking back now is very clear. Your mum had a very small and possibly non-existent circle of independent friends herself, because she needed you for that Saturday. And this Saturday cycle continued up to the age of 15. And this, you know, the age you should have really had friends in abundance, and your Saturdays was catching a bus with your mates and all going around the shops and spending, you know, whatever pocket money, whatever money you had. Yeah. So here's my question is, you know, how responsible did you become or feel in being sure you stayed mum's adult best friend? And how restricting did this feel for your own child social life?
So I was aware that like a lot of, you know, like it wasn't very normal at that sort of age really to be having, you know, like your Saturday morning was spent shopping with your mum. Obviously at times, like she might buy me a new bit of clothing or something like that, but then that also, that sort of comes back to the whole thing about buying love or showing love through buying something. So, but it was definitely like when we, like for instance, when we went to Cardiff, she'd always go into town with her sisters. And like sometimes me and my cousins would also all go in, but with the adults as well. So we, you know, like we'd be going as quite a big group into Cardiff for shopping, which was quite nice. But yeah, I think it's when I started trying to meet a friend rather than mum. Like it was only, it felt like I did it for a short amount of the time, and then I still had to meet mum.
Okay. Oh wow. So your day was split. Is that where we are?
Yeah. So I'm feeling like I sort of pushed the boundaries a bit.
Yeah.
But then I still had to go go back to that comfort zone.
Now, most people think, you know, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, my mom's my best friend and I love going shopping. But there is a difference in that choice and not having that choice. Yeah. There is a huge difference where effectively you're in this I'm going to say this cycle of having to be mom's big sister, be mom's young sister, be mom's best friend, be mom's companion, be mom's achiever. I mean, all of a sudden there, you've lost your identity.
Yeah, I think even from even as a lot younger, like preschool, like mum used to, she'd take me when she went for coffee.
Oh, wow.
You know, and, so, and one of my cousins, she sort of said, the first thing that you do when you meet my mum is you go and have a coffee, but it's a very, like, that's like mum, it's a very adult thing, you know, to sit down and have a coffee, you know.
Yeah. And when we think about this, do you feel it actually took chunks out of what was your childhood experience?
I just, obviously, like for me, my childhood experience is my childhood experience.
Yes.
And so therefore, I can, all I can say is, you know, I experienced my childhood.
Yeah.
But looking at what many other people might experience as a childhood, I think mine was very much more adult in focus. There was like, you know, like I got to experience lots of things, but that did mean that I was going from one thing to another thing to another thing. Everything was very planned, very organised, which is why I'm organised now. But everything was like very regimented.
Yeah.
And then like if I wasn't swimming all day on a Saturday and a Sunday, I was still very much with adults.
Wow, that's huge there. If you wasn't swimming, because I want to come into this, which is this life chapter, and it just bridges us so, you know, right into this, which is swimming for the sake of my parents. I've named this life chapter this. You know, having mum and dad who had very little or no social circle, you became that circle, and for most, their self-reward recognition, meaning you had to achieve for them to feel, so they could feel good about themselves. Now, again, I don't wish to stretch this, but you are now is that this next phase basically is kind of overload for you because you're a swimmer and a sport that you fell naturally into. But of course, this is now Dad's lifeline. This is now Dad is his daughter is swimming, and now he is technically going in there, working on your personal best, your timing, form, and all these things. So Dad became your unchosen swimming coach.
Yeah, he was definitely like the driver, and he was the driver. He used to drive me too. So he did used to like, you know, he did take me to like all the like swimming club. He took me to all the galas. So, you know, and then when I started doing early morning training, he used to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to drive me to the swimming pool. He used to often sleep in the back of the car while we were in training. So, but it was very driven by him. I enjoyed the training because I enjoyed pushing myself. But it was never like, you never could wake up and go, I don't want to go swimming this morning.
There.
You know, but then because that's the whole, like, you know, like your dad's got up, you know, your dad's going, your dad's got to go to work afterwards, you know, so like he's made the effort, so you need to make the effort. So I don't really know, you know, like, because I don't know what other, particularly what other people did, so I don't know that other people would go, I don't know if other people would say to their parents, oh, you know, I don't actually, you know, like, you know, the alarm goes off, I really don't want to go today, you know.
Did Dad ever come in and say, are we going to swimming today?
No.
Okay. Think about that. Are we going to swimming today? So there wasn't an option. Because we see.
But then to be good, you have to be dedicated. You have to put the hours in. So, you know, any sport that you do at any level, you have to.
I understand.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there was I'm not. There wasn't. There's no choice.
Did you love the swimming though? Or
yes.
was it...
I say, I love training. Didn't enjoy performing. I didn't enjoy galas. I didn't enjoy racing, but the training, obviously swimming is a very individual sport.
It's a lonely sport.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe, maybe it did play to my strengths. Like the training is great because when you're swimming, you can't talk, and training hard, you might get like short periods of rest. Mm-hmm. But there's not a very big social element when you are actually training.
Here's my thought is, I'm looking for the fun in this. I'm looking for the fun in this part of your life story. Now, if this, again, remember we're deep diving into the intricacy of your experiences. Was the swimming for you a really fun part of your life?
Fun is a very strong word.
Wow.
So
fun is a very strong word.
Yeah. So I mean, I enjoyed the challenge.
But you already had challenges. They were presented to you by your parents. The challenges were already there. So was swimming, was it fun, or was it, who are we swimming for? Because, I want to come into this next portion, which is coming on the tail end of the swimming part of your life, where I've called this life chapter Swimming for Food. Now, not literally swimming for food, but the reason why I brought this in is that, this part of our research was a real pressure point because of the, I'm going to say the cause and effect that can come with the relationship with food from this. And, I mean, you do fast. We've talked about that, and that's something that you are very controlled with, which is when you eat, when you don't eat, and that's part. I'm not saying that's an unhealthy way to live, but it's something that you're conscious of in your life. But also we got there where, your mom and dad, they thought you were a little overweight. So of course there was counting of calories, burnt calories, intake, outtake, on all these things. How old are you when you were going through this process?
So I would say it's sort of the weight issues would have been from like puberty onwards, mm-hmm. and they weren't extreme by any sense of the imagination because of the amount of bloody swimming I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I probably had like a slight belly, Mm-hmm. And
your energy behind that was quite sharp, by the way. It's like a slight belly. You put it in there where it's like you were judged.
Yeah. And yeah, no, my parents said I was fat, and my mum was restricting her calories and I did the same. So we did things like Boots Shaper diets, mm-hmm. Where you have meal replacements, you're looking at 800 calories a day. And so it was about trying... the expectation was that if I was slimmer, I would swim better.
Their expectation?
Yeah. Because I didn't... Whether I really thought I was... I don't think I really thought I was fat because I wasn't mm-hmm. fat. And I don't really think I was even particularly overweight, but my parents said I was. My parents said I was fat. My parents said I needed to lose weight. And
you had no choice in that decision or that understanding. So if you had said, well, no, I don't think I am overweight, was that a negotiation that you could have gone into?
No, because I did have more of a stomach than one of the other swimmers.
But you were you. Their daughter. Wasn't that enough? Do you feel that you were constantly measured to other people?
Yes.
Okay. And thinking about that now, how do you think that's playing out for you now?
I do constantly measure myself to others. And always, it's always to people like at the top of their game.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we talk about swimming, like several people from the same town as me went to the Olympics. And so that's like the, you know, like that's the end goal. If you don't do that, you're not successful. You know,
Yeah.
So it's a very extreme. You're not judging, you're not comparing yourself to someone similar. You're comparing yourself to the elite.
Yeah. Which you were compared to always? Whether it was sport, whether it was your cousin, whether it was someone with a flat belly. Do you feel that there was a lot of comparing you as their child to other children?
I think, like with the like that I had a stomach, that person swam faster than me. So not in my main stroke, because I was a butterfly swimmer, but this person was faster freestyle than I was. She also was a little bit older than me. And they were looking at how I could improve.
Yeah. Did you want to improve yourself? Is this something that you craved, or do you feel it was something you were obligated into?
I say I always like really enjoyed the training, and I did always want to like swim as fast as I could in races. But what I didn't understand back then that I understand now is like the whole like the way that you train, like training cycles and training towards specific goals. So you have your times when you're training hard, when you taper off and stuff like that. And so, for instance, my dad was expecting me to do a personal best every time I swam.
Wow.
And that isn't achievable. And I didn't know that. Like we did even, you know, like even when I was like swimming as a child, we did used to taper towards our major competitions. But we weren't, like nobody ever said to my dad, you shouldn't be taking your child to swim every weekend. We travelled all around the country to find swimming galas every weekend so that I could keep practicing.
Oh, wow.
But there was nobody ever said to him, that's not helping her.
Yeah.
You know, whereas actually that wasn't helping me.
Yeah.
You know, and if he'd actually, like, I don't know if he would have listened if anyone had said it. He was responsible, like, for entering everyone in open galas. So open galas are where individuals pay and go and do the galas, and that's what I used to do every weekend. But he became the person that did it for the swimming club. Okay. So anybody that wanted to go to the different open galas, he would organise it. He would send off all the entries together and like get all the entries back and everything. And so because of that, he was really driven. And like I say, a lot of the time it was only me that went to these galas because, well, maybe other people had a life outside swimming. I don't know.
You just said something huge there. And let me take us into our next life chapter, which is got a different shape to your whole swimming early career, which is, of course, so I swam into love and freedom. So I swam into love and freedom is what I've named this life chapter. So basically, Martyn, your first boyfriend and your first experience of personal freedom. We are now at 15.
Yeah.
So 15 years of age, Martyn is 17 years of age. You're both swimming buddies, so you're part of that whole environment. But Martyn gave you the first feel of freedom and being wanted without conditions.
Yeah.
Very early, and I what we do here is, what I want to think about is that, so with Martyn now, you escape from your parental control.
Yes, to an extent, yes.
So you're with Martyn and you get to be yourself, a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But also, what I'm thinking about is that this is your first taste of existence outside of being the daughter. This is your first taste of being with someone where you're experiencing your own emotions freely with another person called Martyn.
Yeah.
Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time that I really did things without my parents.
Yeah.
And at one point they told me that I really should get a new boyfriend. So I went against them in that sense. And then I think I told you about the swimming gala where I was holding hands with Martyn, and my dad marched me to a phone box. So for you younger viewers, those red old kiosks where you actually had a phone, you had to put money in and dial the home phone. I had to ring my mum because we were half an hour away from where I lived, and my dad went berserk and was going to drive me home to miss the rest of the gala, which is how serious it was, because I was holding hands on the poolside.
What was your
Martyn,
first boyfriend?
Yeah.
And you're 15 here now?
Yeah.
What do you think was going through Dad's mind then? Do you feel it was a loss of control for him? Do you feel it was, my little girl is growing up? Do you feel it would have been, there is no way that this person is going to interfere with my swimming experience that I'm getting through my daughter?
I think there was embarrassment, because we've also touched on the fact that I don't really remember my parents holding hands, cuddling, that sort of thing. So outwardly being affectionate was an issue. So for me, and even back then, that was what that's my initial reaction, was the embarrassment of.
Wow.
Because that's not what my parents did. When you look at it at a deeper level, yes, maybe there was feeling out of control, which I was rebelling to because I was doing I wasn't conforming. I wasn't doing what I was. It was probably the first time that I didn't do exactly.
Wow.
I was there and I was swimming and I was concentrating and everything, but it was that whole the fact that I did something that.
How did that feel? Did you feel free? And I know that Dad now has took control of the situation, but did you feel free? I'm holding this person's hand. Someone is showing you affection in the way you've not been shown.
I felt normal. I think one of the big things was Martyn had come into our swimming club from another swimming club, and out of all the girls that he could have chosen, he chose me, which was that was the really big thing. It was and obviously teenage girls being teenage girls, I suppose everyone wanted the attention, and I got it. And so that was a really big thing. So
Did
yeah.
it boost your confidence, do you feel?
I mean, so, one of the other girls at the swimming club that he did end up two-timing me with, he's actually still with her, so...
Well done to you for introducing them, girlie.
But she was another person at the swimming club.
Yeah.
She was the one with the flat stomach.
Oh, wow. I mean, come on. I mean, the whole crew are looking round you gobsmacked, you know. It's like, what?
But we went through phases of like getting on and not getting on with the other girl. You know, so.
It is these. We're going through these layers here, you know, and I want to take us into this next life chapter, which is music was fun. Now, we are coming now at the age of 16, 17 and 18, and I am now introducing into your life story that music was fun, bearing in mind that you did the recorder, you did the piano, but it's the first time in your life. So you've dumped the recorder, the piano, you resisted Dad's requests to play the violin, and you've gone into the clarinet. So I have this year's, this was your decision, but also you felt it was the first time in your life you were having fun with a musical instrument.
Yeah, so I started playing, I wanted to play the clarinet. I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was a bit like a recorder, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I fancied playing the clarinet. And initially I was told that I couldn't because my hands were too small. So I had to wait till I was a little bit older. And I think I was like 10, 11 when I started playing it. And I did the whole thing going like through the grades. And when it came to like not having enough time to practice all the instruments and do everything, like I say, it was the piano that I dropped because I did enjoy the clarinet more. That was partly because of my clarinet teacher, because he played in a jazz band and in a big band. So he played the sax and the clarinet. And I got to the point where, whether my parents really knew, I'm not totally sure. And I think maybe if they knew, they were okay with it because it still meant I was playing an instrument. But we started to play more jazz. We used to like jam together and stuff like that. Yeah. And he'd write his own music and like we'd be playing it. And so it was much more fun. It was like obviously a lot less stuffy than like doing grade 6 clarinet. Whoa, yeah, exciting.
But I want to touch into as we come to the end of the episode here, which is you were having fun playing an instrument for the first time, but also you had to hide how much fun you were having. You couldn't go home and celebrate the enjoyment that you were having in playing the clarinet with your parents.
No, as I say, I don't really know exactly what they thought was going on. Like they took me for my lesson, and I had my session, and that was it. But whether they really knew, I don't know. Yeah. But that's how it was fun for me, because it was like less structured.
Yeah. There.
Yeah.
There it is. We've come to the end of episode 2 here, and that is what we were looking for. You put the word fun and less structured together for the first time in your life story, being that felt like freedom. You said, Paul, it was fun because it was less structured. There's the insight. And we've come to the end of episode 2 here, Sian, and it is really unfolding. It is so technical, this life story. And come back. We're going to be diving into episode 3. Do meet us back here. Sian, we are really rolling here, girl, eh?
Yep.
Happy
Good
days.
Stuff.
Okay, see you in episode 3.